What's up, y'all? It's your boy Thick Boy Gohan, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite arcs in Bleach, the Soul Society arc. The captains really made this arc special. The way they carried the story, their fights, their personalities, it all just clicked for me, honestly. I liken this arc to the Chunin exam arc in Naruto, and of course it being in the big three, I hope that you guys understand the reference. So, I thought I'd share my top 10 Soul Society arc captains based on how they were portrayed in the anime during this arc. Before anyone gets salty with me, this isn't about who's the strongest overall or how they end up later in the series. Nah, this is strictly about their role and presence in the Soul Society arc anime. That's where the magic happened for me, so just to put that out there. Alright, let's get into it. Tōsen was one of those characters who brought a lot of mystery. He believed strongly in justice even if his methods got twisted. His Zanpakutō is Suzumushi. In Shikai, it creates a ringing sound that disrupts the senses. Pause. I thought Tōsen was going to be so badass when I saw Uryu walking up those steps, and I believe Tōsen was just like standing up there and he said cry, Suzumushi, and it did that like really weird sound vibration and knocked Uryu out cold. I don't think we got to see that ability again. Really disappointed because how cool was that? His Bankai, Suzumushi Nishiki Inma Korougi, try saying that 3 times fast, plunges the entire area into darkness, cutting off sight, sound, and spiritual pressure as far as being able to sense it. It's a crazy ability because you basically lose all of your senses. If you can't sense or see your enemy, you're at a huge disadvantage. We saw him use this against Kenpachi, and it was, honestly, I feel like he should have had a different opponent, but the concept is still very much overpowered in my opinion. At number 9, we have Sajin Komamura. Komamura is the big, loyal giant who hides behind a helmet for a while, which made him stand out visually, but I don't know about y'all, but were y'all really expecting a fox head? I don't know, I just thought he'd be like, I don't know, really hard on the eyes, kind of like Jidambo, you know, he's like a really huge hulking Soul Reaper. I just wasn't expecting him to be a furry, like literally a furry. His Zanpakutō is Tenken, which lets him summon a giant limb that copies his movement, and it's basically, again another Naruto reference, it's basically like a gigantic Susanoo. So when he activates his Bankai Kojigo Tengen Myo, he summons a massive armored samurai, which again, Susanoo, and it fights alongside him, giving him extra power and defense. It's powerful, but as the anime showed, even that couldn't really stop Kenpachi's raw strength. And again, it just sucks that both Kaname and Komamura, they kind of got bodied by Kenpachi, which you guys will see Kenpachi later on in this list. Now, going into number 8, and I swear you guys are going to like crucify me, but we're going to go with Gin Ichimaru. Gin's character is a whole vibe. Again, another Naruto reference. He reminds me of Orochimaru. Always smirking, he's calm, but you know there's something hidden. Very sneaky, and you saw how he purposely triggered Hitsugaya throughout this entire arc and antagonized Momo, and even antagonized Rukia. There's a scene that he gave her false hope just to strip it away from her, and Rukia just completely fell apart, and that blood-curdling scream that she let out, both in the English and the Japanese version, chef's kiss. Anyways, his Zanpakutō is Shinzo. It can extend like a spear at insane speeds. This reach gave Gin a big advantage in fights because he could just attack before enemies can even think what was happening. Now, we do find out later on that he's not quite being truthful about how fast it can go and how long it can go. But we didn't get all the details about him in this arc, so just wanted to put him there. He most definitely belongs further in this list, but again, this is Soul Society arc. At number 7, we have Mayuri Kurotsuchi, and this is the captain of Squad 12. Mayuri is honestly kind of creepy. Like, I thought that his face paint was actually how his face looked. Didn't know that he can actually rinse it off until I think after Uryu bodied him, and then you see him like in the shower, and it's like, oh, he actually has normal skin. But his face paint, that's what makes him memorable. He's the mad scientist of the captains. His Zanpakutō is Ashisogi Jizo. In Shikai Phone, it's a blade that paralyzes anything it cuts by injecting a poison. Now I gotta say, his sword, if I'm not mistaken, has like a Buddha face with like almost like a trident style blade. I always thought it was pretty cool. I'm not sure how effective it is as a weapon because I don't think his Zanpakutō has that much reach, but Mayuri, he'll make it work. His Bankai is Kanjiki Ashisogi Jizo, and that summons a giant poisonous caterpillar-like creature that sprays venom and attacks relentlessly. Now, the way that I'm trying to explain this, but you guys, it's like literally a baby centipede caterpillar with like swords on its chest, demonic looking creature. But I will say, when he does activate it, I like the baby cry that it makes. And I believe, fun fact, Mayuri was the first Bankai that we got to see in the series. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that's true. Anyways, Mayuri uses science and experiments in his fights, making him unpredictable and dangerous. And like Gin, I would say, again, that Naruto reference to Orochimaru, the way Mayuri reminds me of Orochimaru is going to be that kind of like that scientist, always trying to experiment and find new ways to explore and get more powerful within the verse. Yeah, both him and Gin kind of have that in common when it comes to characters in the Naruto verse. And I'm just a big Naruto fan, y'all, so you guys are going to see a lot of comparisons. Going into number 6, we have Jūshirō Ukitake, and this is the captain of Squad 13. And unbeknownst to us, he's actually Rukia's captain. I don't think we actually find this out until the Soul Society arc. And again, when I was watching this, I wasn't really familiar with like the ranks, like captain, lieutenant, third seat, you know, so I wasn't really sure. I knew captains were powerful, but I just wasn't sure like how important their role was in the overarching story. But Ukitake did not get a lot of screen time during this arc, but whenever he showed up, you felt, again, very calm. He had authority. You can see that he is extremely old, wise, but he has that youthful energy about him. His Zanpakutō is actually Sokyo no Katawari, and these are twin blades connected by a chain. Though his Bankai wasn't shown in this arc, nor was it shown at all, which again, Kubo, where is it at? His Shikai can absorb and redirect energy attacks, making him a very, very tactical fighter. And I would also like to add, there's a scene where he was on, I think it's not Sokyoko Hill, but like kind of where Rukia was imprisoned. And the way that he was able to sneak up on Byakuya to stop him from releasing his Senbonzakura, like, I don't think people understand, like, Ukitake he's gotta be extremely powerful. Shame we never got a proper fight scene with him. Going into number 5. Now, y'all, this is my favorite female captain amongst the group, and I know you guys are gonna be really upset about how high she's being placed, but hear me out. We have Squad 2 captain, Soifon. Soifon is fast, she's precise, and all about assassination. Her Zanpakutō is Suzumibachi. This is why she's number 5 on the list. I don't care what anybody says. Her Shikai is probably one of the most powerful and effective Shikais in the entire verse, especially during this arc. If she strikes you in the same place twice, you're dead. That's it. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. And because she's so fast, and her thing is assassinations, it's like a match made in heaven. Her Shikai was literally made for her. And what's funny is I do like the fact that it stings like literally like a hornet, like I think a bee. I think that's the whole motif behind her Shikai. But yes, it stings like a hornet, and if she strikes the same spot twice, again, instant death. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. You're out of here. This ability fits perfectly with her role as head of the stealth force, plus her emotional scenes, especially the ones with Yoruichi, gave her character depth beyond just a fighter. And I want to touch base a little bit about her relationship with Yoruichi. Fun fact, I believe the Soul Society arc is the last time we actually see those two have any on-screen relationship. And for my people who are of the community, I'm talking the LGBTQI, her being a lesbian is a joke that the anime fillers came up with. None of that actually happened in the manga, so I know a lot of y'all like to ship Soifon and Yoruichi, but I'm pretty sure that they have more of a sisterly relationship. Soifon might actually be a lesbian still, but I don't think she has those kind of feelings for Yoruichi. Those were just added for filler. So wanted to give you guys some context of that. Soifon's one of my favorite characters, regardless of her identity. Like, I'm always going to be a big fan. And I use her in Bleach Rebirth of Souls. So again, if you guys want to play me, my username on PlayStation is ThickBoyGohan. Check me out. So number 4, Shunsui Kyōraku. Now Shunsui, obviously he becomes the head captain in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, and obviously in the Soul Society arc we can already get a feeling that he is one of the most powerful captains in the hierarchy of Soul Society. However, I think we only get one fight with him, and he's going against Chad. Now Chad, there's a running gag about him being a god, low-key, and that he can never lose. Ichigo's words, not mine, but we didn't get much to work with, so I think number 4 is a fair spot for him. His Zanpakutō is Katen Kyokotsu. and I hope I said that right. It can turn children's game into deadly roles for the battlefield. Now, we know what his Shikai does thanks to the fake Karakura arc, but during this arc, I don't even think he got to use any of those abilities against Yamamoto, but we do know it is a dual-bladed Zanpakutō. One of them is bigger than the other, and he's able to use that to kind of confuse his enemies as far as his striking speed. And of course, we don't get to see his Bankai during the Soul Society arc, but his fighting style, it's very strategic, it's relaxed, and that makes him a tough opponent. And I love the way that he, even when he fought Chad, he was almost training him, or at least giving him feedback and advice on about how his powers and abilities work. You can tell that Shunsui did not have any ill intention, or he wasn't trying to kill Chad. And Chad should have just gave up. Like, the moment Shunsui pulled up, he would have been like, hey man, I don't want no problems. So in my opinion, his way of handling situations, especially with Rukia trying to get her, like how him and Ukitake broke the rules to save him, it just shows his intelligence and his strength and his ability to kind of perceive what others don't see. I think this spot is deserving for him. Getting into the number 3 spot, we have Kenpachi Zaraki. And again, Squad 11, the Kenpachi, right? And I know 1,000 Year Blood War, he becomes one of the 5 war potentials, but just going based off of this season, Kenpachi is literally pure chaos and power. He doesn't even release his Zanpakutō, nor does he have one, nor does he know the name of his Zanpakutō. He's literally running around with just raw strength, instinct, and a rusty blade. His fighting style is all about overwhelming force and loving the fight itself, literally holding himself back. He had bells to where people can hear him. He had the damn eye patch that, you know, again, was restricting his spiritual pressures. The battles between him and Ichigo, chef's kiss. I don't understand how he lost to Ichigo. Like, honestly, this might be another video. Some of these captains after this arc are so powerful against other enemies. I don't understand how they were able to lose to an early Soul Society arc Ichigo. And that just might be a video for a different day, because I rewatch that fight often and I'm like, Kenpachi, bro, you could have beat him thousands of times before Ichigo even got to that point. You know what I'm saying? But yes, Kenpachi, the number 3 spot, I think it's well deserved. For the number 2 spot, and one of my favorite captains to use in Bleach Rebirth of Souls, is Byakuya Kuchiki. Now Byakuya, we actually get to see him a ton throughout this arc because he's kind of framed as like the big bad, the focal point. I mean, you know, he wants to not basically kill Rukia, but he wants to enact her punishment for betraying the rules of the Soul Society. And of course, he's a big bad for Ichigo. So we're familiar with his Shikai, his Bankai, you know, all his different Kido spells and attacks. He is definitely the poster captain for what a captain is, and kind of like, you know, what it means to be a captain and what kind of how we can power scale them. So Byakuya was definitely the embodiment, in my opinion, of elegance and power during this arc. His Zanpakutō is Senbonzakura, and again, it needs no introduction. It scatters into 1,000 tiny blades, and again, the light reflects off of them, so they look like pink cherry blossoms, and he controls them precisely. So, which again is like, how does he do that? Like, there's millions of these blades, and he's able to just move his hands, and they follow accordingly. His Bankai is Senbonzakura Kageyoshi, and that summons even more petals, like it literally like triples the numbers that he currently has, and he commands them like an army. His fight against Ichigo, honestly, was iconic, especially when we got that hollow Ichigo moment. And there's a couple scenes in that fight that I still quote. I love it when, you know, Ichigo's like using his flash step to dodge the flower petals, and then he flash steps right in front of Byakuya, and he has his blade to his throat. I know Byakuya was so Byakuya was so pissed, because, you know, here he is talking down on Ichigo like, you know, you're nothing but a boy. That Bankai of yours can't possibly be one. Like, how dare you trample on tradition? And then Ichigo's like literally like child's play with his petals. I just know Byakuya was mad. But anyways, his fight with Ichigo, it was iconic, it was beautiful, and it was deadly. And we definitely had a lot of emotionally charged moments in that I think will go down in history. I still rewatch that fight constantly. Last but not least, and I feel like you guys already knew this, at number 1 is going to be Genryūsai Shigekune Yamamoto, captain of Squad 1, and of course he is the head captain, the oldest captain, the strongest captain, the de facto leader of the Gotei 13. Yamamoto is literally the ultimate authority. even though he didn't fight much in this arc, his presence alone was intimidating. And I almost feel like, again, you have a Ryoka invasion, you have, you know, again, a Quincy popped up, he fought against Yamamoto, obviously we know this, right? The moment Uryu walked into Soul Society, I feel like Yamamoto should have been like, excuse me, what are you doing? Hello, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that he kind of let the other captains do their thing, like, I feel like Yamamoto could have really deaded a lot of these fights before they got too crazy, but then we wouldn't have the show, right? He's one of those like really overpowered characters that, you know, Kubo has to have a reason to nerf him or give him something to do, and I feel like he wasn't really active in this season. And of course he has this class with Shunsui and Ukitake, but they didn't really do much. They just kind of like, you know, clash blades and spat out philosophical differences between one another. But getting into Zanpakutō, which we do get to see, it is Ryujin Jaka, which is the strongest fire type Zanpakutō in Soul Society. It has the highest attack potency of any blade in the Soul Society. When released, it unleashes massive flames that can incinerate everything. The respect he commands isn't just from power though, it's from his experience and his leadership as Captain Commander. And I think it's really important that we understand that. You know, yes, his Shikai is powerful, but it's because he's so old. He's trained in every sword art, Kido, you name it, Hakuda, you name it, he knows it, and he's mastered it to such a high degree. And then his spiritual pressure, now we don't know this until the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, but it transcends that of a normal Soul Reaper. So yes, Ryujin Jaka is powerful, but I believe it's amplified because Yamamoto himself is so powerful. So y'all, that's my top 10 captains from the Soul Society arc, based on their role and power in the anime during that time. Like I said, this isn't about who the strongest is overall, just how they showed up in Soul Society. Some of y'all might switch up this list, and that's cool. Do your thing. Drop your favorite captains in the comments and let me know who you think would be the number one. If you're new here, my name is Thickboy Gonhan. This channel is all about breaking down anime characters, especially from Bleach, and talking about what makes them special, whether it's their story, design, or abilities. If you vibe with that, hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching. Catch y'all in the next one.